Over its decade-long history, WWE Monday Night Raw has set the stage for some of the most memorable debuts in all of pro wrestling. These arrivals are not only electrifying to the fans in nostalgia purposes, but has also left an indelible mark on the wrestling industry. Here are the 10 best debuts in WWE history, and we're about to get controversial. At number 10, I had to start it off this way. It's the Wyatt family. Look, in July 2013, the Wyatt family, they debuted on Monday Night Raw when they targeted Kane. This had been weeks after vignettes featuring Bray Wyatt, Eric Rowan, and Luke Harper from their compound. Now look, having honed their act in NXT, the Wyatt family were ready to unleash on the main roster in 2013 and did so on Monday Night Raw when taking out the Big Red Machine. This was a brilliant debut. The Wyatts, who wish to make themselves the most monstrous force in WWE going forward, I would certainly say they did just that. Luke Harper, Eric Rowan, Bray Wyatt, they had a great start to life on the main roster as they quickly became a popular act within the fan base despite being heels until things unraveled due to WWE's failed commitment to the groups. Most notably, putting John Cena over Bray Wyatt, and then also having The Undertaker go over Bray Wyatt. If they had not done this, I think they would have been so much better off, and things would have turned out differently for the Wyatt family. Number 9, we're going recent, but it's Penta. One of the early highlights of the Raw on Netflix era was the arrival of Penta, who defeated Chad Gable in his debut on Monday Night Raw. The former AEW star immediately established himself as a big deal in WWE after he was considered to be coming in as a tag team with Rey Fenix, only for AEW to tack on time to his contract. Now look, WWE, they've been hyping up the arrival of Penta with these mysterious vignettes in the weeks leading up to his debut, which paid off in a huge reaction from the fans in attendance when he made his entrance. It's one of the better, well-booked debuts in recent history and shows that AEW, they missed out on the possibility of Penta. At number 8, 2015, Kevin Owens. Now look, following the footsteps of Sami Zayn, the frenemy, Kevin Owens stepped up to the challenge from John Cena on an episode of Monday Night Raw in May of 2015, but opted to attack him and forsake the U.S. title instead. This would lead to a lengthy feud between the U.S. and NXT champions that outlasted until it was Owens who beat John Cena cleanly at Elimination Chamber 2015. Now, of course, big match John, he had to get his win back because Cena would then go over and defeat Kevin Owens a few weeks later to eventually squash the feud. But it was a great way to introduce the NXT star to the main roster. This open challenge for the U.S. title at the time was a huge pivotal point in Kevin Owens' career, but also in the eyes of the fan base. They got him over so well, and John Cena did so well in helping that get accomplished. All right, Uncle Bill, it's Goldberg. Look, the night after WrestleMania 19, Goldberg made his highly anticipated WWE debut by interrupting The Rock during a promo segment. Goldberg delivered a devastating blow to the People's Champion, setting up a pretty notable feud. Goldberg's arrival, it marked a significant moment for WCW fans who had waited years to see Uncle Bill in WWE. Goldberg's closing line, "You're next," followed by the thunderous spear and the facial reaction and the sell job by the Great One was memorable. Now, they ultimately went on to Backlash, and Goldberg went over. The Rock went back to Hollywood, but that is how they set the scene for where they were going with Goldberg, and it was absolute beauty. He would then have a 1-year run in WWE, feuding with the likes of Randy Orton and Triple H, winning the world title before ultimately facing off with Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 20 in 2004. At number 6, January 31st, 2000. The Radicals. The surprise arrival of Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit, Perry Saturn, and Dean Malenko sent shockwaves through the wrestling world. These four men jumping ship from WCW to WWE, the Radicals debuted on Monday Night Raw by sitting ringside before attacking members of D-Generation X. Why is it so iconic? Well, it signaled the collapse of WCW from the underneath. and gave WWE 4 big-time technical stars that were technically just absolutely gifted inside of the ring. If you look back on WCW, there was a lot of mishaps. I think one of the biggest mishaps was they had such a talent roster with such youth in it, yet they never used the youth. They never used these undercard types that had a lot of potential. Your Chris Jericho's of the world and etc. These 4 guys had a lot of it and a lot of really good potential. I mean, obviously, Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, they went on to become main
Brock
eventers
Lesnar,
and
March
world
18th,
champions. 2002. And one of the most impactful debuts in the history of Monday Night Raw, Brock Lesnar stormed the ring and obliterated several wrestlers, including Spike Dudley, during a hardcore match. Lesnar's raw power and Paul Heyman's presence made it clear that he was destined for greatness from day one. He went on to dominate WWE as the next big thing, ultimately beating The Rock for the WWE Championship at SummerSlam later that year. Lesnar delivering an F5 to little poor Spike Dudley. It marked a moment. It marked a moment in which established himself as a unstoppable star. And then, he even went on and feuded with the Hardys a little bit. That devastating chair shot to the head that he took. This was an interesting time for Brock. At number 4, Paige, April 7th, 2014. The night after WrestleMania 30, Paige made her shocking debut by immediately challenging AJ Lee for the Divas Championship. In an upset victory, Paige went on to become the youngest Divas champion in history. Why is it iconic? Well, debut for Paige, it injected new life into WWE's women's division at the time, marking the beginning of a shift towards the women's revolution. Paige pinning AJ Lee to win her title for the very first time on her first night on the main roster. It was unheard of at the time. It's still unheard of. You literally go from NXT, which at the time nobody really, they've heard about it. They saw a little advertisement for it, but it was nothing special. It's nothing what it would come to be. It was anything that fans could really be like, oh my God, I know this person. Not a lot of people did. But Paige, she broke through. At number 3, The Nexus, June 7th, 2010. The debut of the Nexus faction remains one of the most shocking and chaotic moments in Raw history. A group led by Wade Barrett was a faction full of NXT rookies who invaded the show, attacked John Cena, and destroyed the Raw set. It was an unprecedented invasion angle with a group of rookies dismantling WWE's biggest star in the entire set. The Nexus ripping apart the ring and attacking everyone in sight, including WWE personnel. Well, it was never before seen before. I mean, heck, Bryan Danielson got fired because he choked out Justin Roberts, a ring announcer, with his own tie. You want to talk about heat? Vince McMahon was heated. But I will say this. It was a huge, huge moment that WWE had for its fans. And number 2, let's get controversial, Eric Bischoff, when he became the general manager of Monday Night Raw in 2002. The former WCW executive had famously warred with Vince McMahon and WWE during the Monday Night Wars in the late 90s. Bischoff's arrival is regarded as one of the most shocking moments in wrestling history. When people say, especially in the wrestling business, never say never, well, this moment was never more appropriate because Eric Bischoff showing up on Monday Night Raw, the flagship show, as the GM in July of 2002 was insane. This is the same guy who was a former top executive in WCW, had tried to put WWE out of business. Now he's working for the exact same company in which that he tried to put out. Now, look, Bischoff continued to play coward heel persona that brought him to the dance and a lot of success in WCW as a Raw GM, if not as quite as effective. But the moment was still an all-time shocker and something that needs to be talked about. Number 1, it's Chris Jericho's debut in 1999. You've all seen the clip because his debut is considered one of the greatest moments in the history of the wrestling business, not just Monday Night Raw. After weeks of a cryptic countdown vignette, Jericho interrupted the Great One, The Rock, during a promo segment in Chicago. Jericho's charisma was on full display as he went toe-to-toe with the Great One. The Y2J persona instantly captivated fans, setting the stage for what turned out to be a legendary career. Jericho introducing himself as Raw is Jericho, followed by The Rock's scathing response,